Nearly 1 year ago, last October, 17 American sailors were killed when the USS Cole was bombed off of Yemen. 12 Americans were among the 224 people killed when terrorists bombed U.S. embassies in Kenya and Tanzania in 1998. 19 Americans were killed in the attack on the Khobar Towers in Saudi Arabia in 1996. On April 19, 1995, a bomb killed 168 people and injured more than 500 when the Murrah Federal Building in Oklahoma City was attacked. In February 1993, 6 people were killed and 1,000 injured when a bomb exploded 2 stories beneath the World Trade Center. Kathleen?
From Waco to Oklahoma City, former Deputy Attorney General Eric Holder is no stranger to dealing with deadly terrorist attacks. And Mr. Holder joins our Del Walters now in the studio to talk more about today's tragic events. Del?
Mr. Holder, we are now receiving reports from CNN that Kabul, Afghanistan may be being bombed, which would mean that there's some sort of U.S. retaliation underway. It has long been a belief that this nation will not assassinate a foreign leader or a target. Is there a different set of circumstances that come into play as a result of today's terrorist attacks?
Federal law prohibits the assassination of individuals or leaders of countries, but federal law does permit us to go after people for defensive purposes. And a person like bin Laden, given what has happened today and what he has done to this country in the past, I think certainly would fall outside that prohibition of assassination.
So if President Bush gives the order, Osama bin Laden can be assassinated legally within the parameters of United States law.
Yeah, I wouldn't use the term assassination, but I would say that if the determination is made that bin Laden is behind this attack, and we certainly know that he was behind other attacks, there would be a basis to go after him specifically within American law.
There are going to be people that are going to wonder, how could this happen in this country? During your watch, which just ended, was there any indication that an attack of this magnitude could be pulled off or was even in the works?
Now, even for bin Laden, this sounds like something that is pretty extraordinary. I mean, he's probably the most closely monitored terrorist in the world. We have all kinds of intelligence capabilities, and we would certainly see things about him through the course of time. But something along these lines, something this coordinated, something this extensive, is fairly extraordinary.
You told me that this is not the first time that there has been a terrorist attack planned using airliners. Brief our audience on what that was.
Yeah, in the early 90s in the Philippines, there was an attempt, a plan was made to bring down, I think, about 11 747s. That plan was foiled, however, and the person who was responsible for it, or at least for the planning of that attack, was actually tried and convicted in New York City.
There were fears in this country around the time of Y2K that we were going to see something like this then. Were there serious concerns among the FBI and Justice Department officials that airport security just was not what it should have been?
That's always been a concern. Terrorists always, one of the favorite targets of terrorists are airplanes and airports, and that's a place that we always try to give special attention. But there's always been concern that there has not been adequate security around airports, and that's certainly one of the questions we're going to have to ask once we get through this. How did these people get on these planes, I presume with some kind of weapons, or at least with an ability to overcome pilots and get into the cockpit?
And briefly, before I toss back to Maureen and Kathleen, this is a personal note for you. You grew up in New York City. The school that is now being used as a triage center for the World Trade Centers was your school.
Yeah, I went to high school there. Stuyvesant High School is right next to the World Trade Center. It's now being used as a triage center for people injured in the blast. And so for me, it's something that's very personal. I saw the World Trade Center's towers constructed when I was about the age of 20 in New York City. So this, for me, has been a pretty horrific day.
Eric Holder, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Kathleen and Maureen, back to you.
Del, thanks very much.
We want to point out to you that at the top